Yeah, no, I'm already recording.
Of course you
How
are.
long have you been recording?
Just now. I just hit the button.
So when you said I've always been recording.
No,
what
I
you
said I just started recording.
You did not say that.
It's just
though.
like
You
I
said,
did.
I've always been recording.
What are you talking about,
We will
Jeremy?
play this back. I will have you stop. We will play this back.
I don't think this is gonna make the episode.
Yeah, but what if he started recording after he said?
No,
He was
I
already
watched him
recording.
press it. I knew the answer to that the whole time. So Adrian, I gotta. This is for you
Yeah, no, I'm
because-
excited.
because Tyler.
Apparently,
No,
I
hold
made
on,
a
Tyler.
cardinal sin.
So the other day, I asked Tyler a question of what is a movie or a franchise that you liked when you were younger, but looking back on it, you really lost. You're like, oh, this isn't very funny, or I don't like this. And Tyler just decided to just ruin a friendship for just no reason. He just
Wait,
went out
what?
of his way. He said, I tried rewatching The Other Guys, and I didn't find it funny.
What?
And I was like,
Apparently, I'm insane.
bro, that movie's hilarious.
Apparently, I need we need to have like a watch party.
Because
I wonder if I genuinely, because of how quick your response was to ending our friendship and how quick your response was to being mad at me for saying that, I might be thinking of something else and I'm just insane.
Wait, okay. When the other guys, you're talking about the Will Ferrell,
Well, okay, so
Mark Wahlberg
here's-
flick.
let me back up. It's one of those things where I remember watching it and I thought it was this movie and thinking, I don't really like this. When I rewatched it, right? But I don't remember specific reasons why. I just remember the feeling of being like, I don't really like this. And I thought, and Jeremy was like, I don't really remember this, but whatever I'm thinking of, which I thought was the other guys, was it seemed like weirdly misogynistic in a lot of its jokes.
Okay.
And
I couldn't think of
any jokes that were, right?
Yeah.
Really? So
Like,
I might be crazy.
I think you just made up a movie because you never watched it because it was too funny. Is probably what
I
happened.
will say, is this from the other guys? The thing about the lion swimming out to sea?
Yeah,
Okay, that's hilarious.
yeah.
I gotta give you that. That bit hilarious.
And
Love that.
I'm fairly certain that line is also just ad-libbed. Like that entire thing
Oh,
is
yeah.
ad-libbed.
Oh, that and also anything that has to do with The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in that film. Like, well,
You're saying
spoilers.
that's ad-libbed, or you're saying that's
No,
hilarious?
but
Oh,
that's
just
hilarious.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
I was telling about the building. I'm like, he's
Yeah.
like, aim for the bushes.
Yeah.
How is that not hilarious?
because and I do remember that. I don't think that's funny. There's like aim for the bushes and they jump and then they die. And it's like, so what are they,
All right.
stupid? And then Jeremy's like, yeah, that's the joke. They're stupid.
Here's the
but
thing.
just the idea of being stupid isn't a joke.
All right. Comedy is subjective.
Otherwise, I'd be the funniest guy on the planet.
Comedy is subjective, but you're just wrong.
Yeah, I don't understand how you can think two guys who just watched two people zip line off a building and be like, you think what I'm thinking? And the other guy's like, yeah, aim for the bushes. They just jump off the building and die. It's not hilarious.
It's just dumb.
That is dumb. That's hilarious.
That's the point. That's the joke.
Their characters
but
are
what's the
supposed.
joke?
Their characters are supposed to be the action heroes of like the Dirty Harry type.
So
of-
the joke is just subvert the expectations. They died. They didn't make it.
well,
That's the joke
I mean, the whole that's
on the man's widow.
the whole characters are subverting the expectations of they're supposed to be the cool action hero types, but they're in a setting that's more realistic, so like they don't get to do that. Like the fact of the opening sequence, they stop a car robbery. So they stop a car and they're like having huge gunfights, and they blow up a bus, they rip a building open, and then you learn at the end of it that they were chasing people for like quarter ounce of marijuana.
Yeah,
like,
no, see, that's funny. That's funny. I'll give you that. But then just I mean, I guess maybe the fact that it's so abrupt of like, oh yeah, those aren't the main characters. I guess that's kind of a joke.
Tyler, do you live in a world in which everything is not funny and you're just like, oh man,
You know,
this is
it's
great.
incredible because him berating me like this is how I berate him about every other media franchise in the world. It's amazing to be like, wow, is this what Jeremy feels all the time?
And also,
Being senselessly attacked on the hill he's willing to die
it's
on.
not even senselessly attacked. It's, if anything, we're prepared. We have an army. There's organization.
By
Because
the
it's an objective fact that movie's hilarious.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do.
Will Ferrell's character is a ladies' magnet for no reason.
Oh yeah, he's married to
Eva
Eva
Mendes.
Yeah.
Here's what we're gonna do.
And she's oddly sexual for no reason. And that's hilarious.
Here's what we're gonna do.
And Mark Wahlberg was like, "Don't you dare badmouth Star Wars. That was all accurate." That's hilarious.
Can I tell you what we're gonna do?
Movie night.
All right.
Can I tell you what we're gonna do? We record all of our episodes in batches of 2. This is the first one of this session. So this episode, haven't seen the other guys in a while. Next episode, I also will not have seen other guys in a while.
Yeah.
The next episode,
We'll have seen it twice.
yes. You know what? I'll say that. We'll have seen it twice. We will sit down and we will watch the other guys. And if I laugh, you have permission to berate me for like 5 more episodes.
Okay, here's the thing. First of all, 20. Second of all, like the option to berate you is if you laugh and not if you just sit through a movie like, yeah, it wasn't very funny. I'm still gonna berate you. I'm gonna be pointing to the screen. Like, you see Will Ferrell here? He's telling a joke. Maybe you're familiar.
Hang
with
on.
this.
So is the deal like if you laugh once, or do you have to be laughing consistently?
If I'm laughing consistently, if by the end of the movie I'm like, I don't know what I was talking about, there we go. Because that's fair.
Okay. I mean,
'Cause
you're
there-
just wrong, Tyler.
There is a chance I'm thinking of like a different movie from the era. Because
All right, there's been a lot of like the early to mid 2000s was all Will Ferrell.
yeah, and
So it's very
because of the
possible.
cast, I wonder if I am legitimately thinking of a different movie. If
Yeah.
I watch the other guys, I'm like, this is nothing like I remembered.
Yeah.
Then the next step is going to be figuring out what movie I wrote in my head that
Okay.
will not fly.
Here's the thing. I recently tried to watch the movie Step Brothers, and I that was a movie I was
I
just
can't watch Step Brothers. I never understood it.
okay.
I never
It's
understood the
hilarious.
hype.
I'm totally
Yeah, I know you were kidding
I
because
don't
you
like-
looked at me.
I don't like Step Brothers either.
I was honestly wondering while we were going through this if you were talking about Step Brothers, because Step Brothers was a movie where I was like, bro, this is I get that this is kind of meant to be cringy and like that. That's not an issue with me, but it's just
I just don't find it funny.
I just didn't find it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that was me with The Hangover. I still don't understand why people thought it was so funny.
It was all right.
And
I didn't see
can't-
any of the sequels.
I hear
dude,
they're all terrible.
Yeah, which
actually,
apparently is a good thing.
I will die on the hill that I don't think the second movie is that bad. But what I will say, it is almost beat for beat the first movie.
I
Yeah.
hear the third movie is also beat for beat. They even return to the same locations.
No, it's the third movie's wildly different. They don't
Is it?
they don't get hung over anything. It's just like, hey, these characters in a setting that
Okay.
it's like those weird like Peter Sellers Pink Panther movies where they're like, yeah, you saw Pink Panther, but this is a shot in the dark. It's basically Peter Sellers, the same character, but there's no Pink Panther diamond, so we can't call it that.
Got it.
I will say after this absolute assault on my preferences of the
Mhm.
other guys, I did bring up the idea of the opposite of that, right? Are there any movies where you watch as a kid and you're like, this is good, but then every time you watch it subsequently, you're like, this is better than I remembered? And why is it The Emperor's New Groove?
I've always thought the Emperor's New Groove was like top tier.
Every time I watch it, I'm like, this is somehow funnier than the
No,
last time I
but
watched it.
for me, that's Shrek 2.
Shrek
Every
2
time I watch
specifically,
Shrek 2, like there's something new that I find hilarious.
I haven't seen Shrek 2 in a while. I'll have to worry about
Well,
Shrek 2.
that's a sin. You gotta watch it at least once a year.
That's true. Well, the thing about Shrek 2, I don't really like the first Shrek that much.
Me neither.
I remember as a kid enjoying it, but I think Shrek 2 just in general was a more appealing movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the first Shrek was always
Is that the one where they introduced Puss in Boots?
Yes.
The Shrek 2, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that one's good.
Mm-hmm.
'cause I don't think the first movie is particularly bad. I think for a kid, like the second movie is way more enjoyable.
What's the one where I Need a Hero plays?
That's also the second movie.
Yeah,
What's the one where the gingerbread man gets really, really big?
that's also the second.
Dude, the second movie is apparently the first movie in my head. I thought all the things happened in the first movie.
No, yeah, the second movie. Well, because
The gingerbread man doesn't get big. It's another gingerbread
yeah,
man.
Right. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
That it was like, it's just a different dude.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. No, yeah, but Shrek 2 for me is just I don't like. It's like they got the writers from the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob. Like literally
Oh,
every
comedy
single
gold,
joke.
The first 3 seasons. of
Yeah,
SpongeBob.
every single joke just lands with me for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's also a movie. I mean, the first one was like this too, where they were jokes. Ooh, cracking.
Why didn't you do it into the
Oh
mic?
shit, my bad.
Oh my god, welcome back to another episode of Adrian's an Idiot. I'm Tyler Shively.
I'm Adrian Adrian Castro.
I'm Jeremy Savage Tate. But yeah, I love how we do that. Like that's our intro, but now we're like, oh, we're not done with the cold open.
What's
we're
funny
continue
is
to go.
the episode I edited this week to put
Mhm.
up that goes up tomorrow in this case. we talked for a while, and then I think you cracked a can, Jeremy, and you were just like, "Welcome back to another intro because I'm not done."
All right, here's the thing. I'm so sorry about that. I've been editing for unnamed company,
Yeah, you just needed this.
so like I've had that looming in my head. So like I was just like I completely forgot what our intro was.
This is a diet Pepsi.
Yeah,
More diet than the average Pepsi.
it's true.
Into the mic.
Hold on.
These
That was a low stance. I'm now rising up to the high stance.
Okay.
Not bad. That's why I cracked in the mic earlier when we were playing Minecraft.
I actually couldn't, like, maybe it's because the can was close to my head, but I didn't hear it like in the microphone. I was like, did that go through?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. 'Cause I definitely heard it like physically.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if anything, just raise the volume. Or we have so many cans.
No, I refuse. We will never use a soundbite of a can cracking. That is impossible. We cannot do that.
The only time that's acceptable is never.
Thank you. Exactly.
Never. Okay.
I'm sure I've said this on the show before, but like when we first started, when we were like 5 or 6 episodes in, someone asked like, "Hey, where are you?" They asked me like, "Where are you getting these cracking noises? They're really good." And I was like, "Oh no, we
do it live.
We're just cracking a can open." They're like, "What?" It's like we've had some shit cracks in the first few episodes. Like you're telling me you didn't notice that sounded like garbage?
Well, also it really works best when it's any like real carbonation.
Yes.
Like the sodas crack way nicer than
the sodas crack
100%.
because
we have the Truly's lemonades. They don't crack that well. The
Seagrams,
oh, those crack nice.
Yeah. So that's an insider that's a movie magic right there. You're really
Did they sell canned Angry Orchard specifically?
Or
do you just get Reds at that
they
point?
do. Like, well, Reds has the Wicked Apple series.
I should get some Reds next time. I haven't had a Reds in a while. That's so
Really?
good.
No, yeah, that's my go-to. Like whenever
Oh yeah.
yeah, whenever I go buy beers for the house, always Reds.
Oh yeah. I love hard ciders, dude. They're
Mhm.
such a good time.
I want to point out, by the way, that when Lindsay was over here, maybe I complained about this last episode.
No,
I'll
complain about it again. I'm still mad about it.
They were like, "Yo, so we might be going to Universal." I was like, "All right, hit me up." And then the day of, I just get a text.
No,
and
they like upload it to Discord.
yeah, and it's just a photo of Lindsay, and they're like, "Hey, lol, Lindsay's not very short."
Lindsay is very short.
Well, she's not as short as we would expect.
yeah, okay, yeah.
And
She
then
is
I was
taller
just
than
like,
a minion.
that motherfucker better not be at Universal Studios
For the
right
record,
now.
blame Meg.
I will. Actually,
Thank
no,
you.
I won't, because to be fair, I hadn't really met Meg at all up until the day after.
Here's the thing, though. I knew that she was planning to go to Universal Studios, and then I basically woke up and she was like, "Hey, get up, we're going to Universal Studios." And I was like, "All right, we're going to Universal Studios." I barely knew when we were going.
You know how much closer I live to Universal Studios than he does?
Like 30
dude,
minutes max.
That's 30 minutes. That's like half
It's
the
like
ride
a
for you.
2-hour drive for you. It's a 45-minute drive for me.
I do not live that far away from you.
It's still far.
That's true. Honestly, I might when I drive down here, I have to go north to south. There might not be as much north to south.
yeah, no, you
between...
you unfortunately have to take the shit direction to get here.
Mhm.
The other way, the way back is fine.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it is about a half hour. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But no, the thing is I also do not really enjoy Universal Studios that much. I used to have like an annual pass.
Dude, my mom used to get me an annual pass every year for my birthday.
We
That thing. Well, there's 3 rides in the entire park.
yeah.
No, there's more now.
Well, not really. Like,
A
all
lot of
right.
their rides aren't really rides.
They're,
though.
No.
they're virtual experiences, I
Yeah.
believe is what they call them.
Okay,
Okay.
so the tour, I imagine.
No, I'm not.
You're
I'm
not
not
counting
counting
that
the
as a
tour.
ride.
No, the backlot tour isn't a ride.
No, I'm counting like, all right, the Mummy, Jurassic Park loosely, because
Wouldn't
it's
you call Jurassic Park a ride?
it's
a
literally
ride.
just the fall.
But yeah, that's what like half of rides are.
Have you ever
mean,
been
I
on
guess.
the Supreme Scream in Knott's Berry Farm? You're like, it's
Yeah.
just a fall. It's just a fall. That's not a
okay.
ride.
All right,
You go up in the air 300 feet and you
All right,
fall. That's
well-
not a fall.
all right,
Here's the
we'll
thing,
count
that's a
Jurassic
ride.
the
Park.
Tower of Terror,
fine.
not a ride.
Well, no, hold on. There's lateral movement to that. You roll back into the thing.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
It is a ride.
All right,
Not me
fine.
either.
I will give. Wait, we'll count Jurassic World because it's not Jurassic Park anymore.
Yeah, I haven't been on it
Yeah.
since.
Yeah, me neither. I guess we could have been on it if we got invited.
But then you have Simpsons, you have Minions, you have.
I wouldn't count Simpsons either.
Simpsons is the Back to the Future ride.
Yeah.
Oh, is it actually?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
it's just
Wait,
they just took the infrastructure.
Have you
of the
never
Back-
taken the Back to the Future ride?
No.
To be fair, Simpsons ride's pretty
It's
old at this
good.
point. Like,
Yeah.
like if you had to be there kind of as a kid to get on the Back to the Future ride. I only got on it because I was in Universal Studios Orlando, where it still
Wow.
existed.
But yeah, now they have. So okay. We had Jurassic World.
Yeah.
We have Simpsons, which is a ride.
Yeah,
We have
Sure.
Minions, which is a ride.
which was the
I
Minions
mean,
ride?
the
Just
Minions-
because it's a lame ride doesn't make it not a ride.
it's where Terminator used to be.
Oh yeah. It's you
which
sit in like a big auditorium.
You're still sitting in an auditorium, except now the seats
Yeah.
move.
It's kind of a Shrek 4D kind of scenario.
Yeah.
I would relate it more to like Star Tours, personally.
No.
Did you really move that much?
You
move
You move
a fair amount. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds.
It's not like
correct.
soaring over California where you're like, ooh, now we're tilting, and now we're tilting.
I don't think you've ever been on Star Tours because that's literally all Star Tours is like.
No, but Star
Yo,
Tours.
we're tilting.
No.
We're tilting. We're just like fucking crazy. is what
Flying
Star
over
Tours-
California is we're gonna tilt, and now we're gonna tilt again.
Bro.
Star Tours is tilt, forward, tilt back, forward,
All right.
tilt.
So for me,
It's
Star
amazing how it does
Tours
it in the format of the Star Wars theme song.
All right, so Star Tours is the Simpsons ride in my head. Like they're very similar
Yeah,
in
that's
that
fair.
respect. I would count the Minions as a 4D thing, like
You
Shrek.
move just as much.
Yeah.
It's just not as cool.
No, you're in an auditorium. Talk about like it's like I could see the fourth wall. You know,
but it doesn't fucking matter.
like at least when I'm in the Simpsons ride,
All right,
like I
hold
can
on.
pretend
I will say
that I'm
that is
there.
a show. I'll give you
Yeah.
credit to say that's a
I'm
show.
gonna count it as a ride just for argument's sake. We have Minions, we have Simpsons, we have Jurassic World. What was the first one you said?
Mummy.
Mummy got changed into something, I think.
What?
You're lying.
I
You're just
think it
wrong.
did. I might be wrong.
I think you are. Because
Fuck you if you're lying.
Okay,
that
whatever.
was my favorite
Whatever then.
ride.
Mummy. No, I love the Mummy ride. Mummy.
Did you
okay.
go on the Mummy ride last time you were there? Because if so, it probably hasn't been
Well,
changed.
I don't think I did.
It's right across the
From Jurassic Park.
from Jurassic
yeah,
Park.
I'm pretty sure that's where like Hogwarts is now,
Mm-mm.
Nope. That
roughly.
were you?
No, it's not.
They are so far away. Like unless
Listen,
Like,
there's
you
been-
I
literally-
don't have good spatial awareness.
I've
You
never-
literally have to go up a mountain to get to the
Yeah.
up a mountain across the fucking
well, then
park.
I think I misunderstood where Jurassic World was.
Did you go on Jurassic World? You're just like,
No, we
man,
didn't- we didn't
It's
want-
amazing they brought the Minions character to the Jurassic World
we,
ride.
we didn't want to get wet.
are you thinking Waterworld?
The fuck? No, I'm not thinking about Waterworld.
That's definitely a show.
Because that's right next to Harry Potter Land.
Okay, hold on. Stop interrupting me. We have Minions. We have Simpsons. We have fucking Mummy. There's 2 Harry Potter rides.
Yeah, and that's it.
No, there's Transformers.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would. Well, I guess.
Bro,
Yeah.
Are-
No.
what
is-
do you mean?
Do you just
No,
go
I-
onto dictionary.com? You're just like, that's not a ride, better change the definition to the.
I mean, I guess it is. You're in a car. Yeah, but it literally just takes you from theater to theater.
What,
Oh my
although
God.
that what you are describing is it's not a ride unless it's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's a roller coaster. A ride is basically anything that moves.
Yeah, whatever.
See,
Just because
I was
it's
weirdly
lame
on
that-
your point, but then you like
Got
counter-argued your point.
Yeah,
he
I
like
don't
kept
know, man.
diving further into the point.
Yeah, when you said Jurassic World wasn't a ride, I'm like, bro, you're on a boat.
It's barely a ride.
I'm not gonna argue that like the escalator is a ride, but like, come on, dude.
Honestly, if anything, that escalator, that's half the fun of that park. You're
That
just
is.
like, dude, we're on this escalator for the next 45 minutes.
You guys take the escalator? I just run up those stairs.
Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you and the 9-year-olds doing the same thing. We're having a lot of talk.
Yeah, we race. It's dope. I
Yeah,
win
and then
every time.
Then you argue about what's a ride and what isn't.
You're like, dude, this is awesome ride. You get to run up 19 flights of stairs. you burn like 200 calories in 10 minutes.
How long have we been talking about not the subject? Like 30 minutes?
Doesn't
20,
matter.
but still.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
What?
that's fine.
Hang on. What are we talking about today?
Yeah, I feel like we should just get into it. We can save anecdotes for the next episode.
These aren't anecdotes. These are just important grievances that we need to bring up.
Speaking about that, by the way, so I have a friend who listens. Shout out, Luis.
What's up, Luis? You comment on our videos. I love you.
Yeah. So like he calls me up today, like out of the blue. First thing that comes out of his mouth is, "What the fuck is up with Jeremy?" Specifically because he was listening to the Skinwalker episode.
That was one of those things where we had shot that episode and I was like, yeah, that's pretty weird. And then like a couple weeks later, I was reminded of us doing it. And I was like, oh yeah, that was that day that I'd woken up at like 1 a.m. and we recorded at like 8. So like I basically hadn't gotten to sleep. I was like, yeah, that was pretty wild.
No, yeah, something about a fruit roll up. And like, I was like, yeah, sorry about that.
What do you mean sorry about that? You're welcome for the entertainment.
All I'm hearing is that, Luis, you must be a really low-level skinwalker.
Dude, how many sisters are you going to have to fuck to get to where I'm at?
I don't think there's enough sisters on planet Earth.
Yeah.
To be honest.
No, but another point that he told me was like, he was trying to get some friends of his to listen, but like we spent like half an hour talking about whatever we were talking about. So,
dude, that's funny because I have people say like that's their favorite fucking part.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, I want them to go back to Jeremy convincing everyone that if he has sex with a skeleton, he'll have superpowers. That's why I come to this show. That's the best part.
So, Tyler, what are we talking about? I actually don't know what we were talking about, weirdly.
Yeah, because I realized I didn't share it with you yet. We are talking about, well, all right, I have to preface this.
Oh.
And unfortunately, we have to waste more time before we get into the episode.
Okay.
We have talked about the Hopkinsville Goblins,
Yeah.
right? We've talked about the Flatwoods Monster, right? We have talked about Mothman, right? We talked about the Jersey Devil. And do either of you remember the one thing all 4 of those cryptids have in common?
They're all
an owl.
aliens.
Jeremy's correct. They're all owls.
You could say that's anything. You're like, name a cryptid. You're like, Loch Ness Monster. I'm like, pretty sure it's an owl.
Well, and that's the thing, right? So I was like, because you always get mad whenever it turns out to be like, it's just another fucking owl.
It's always the same owl, too. It's not like a different owl. They're like, oh, it's the owl with the red under its eyes, and it looks like it's got a red eyes looking through the dark.
No, it's the same owl every single time. I tried my damnedest to do an episode on owl-based cryptids to be like, here you go, Jeremy. These ones are owls. Unfortunately, they all fucking suck. Every single one of them suck. It's either here's a man who looks like an owl, or very different, here's an owl that's kind of a man.
I feel like those are different.
They are. Not much, but they are.
Well, one person has an owl torso.
Wait, is it just like a severed
actually,
head on top of an owl?
No, one of them, the owl man, basically from the waist up is an owl, but from the waist down is just 2 bare human legs. Really loved his depiction. But basically these owl ones are just like, man, that thing's fucking weird, right? It's like, fuck off. What I did end up finding, though, going to this rabbit hole of bird cryptids, is the motherfucking Thunderbird.
The 1960s British TV show.
That's true.
See, I was thinking about the early 2000s kids movie.
Oh, that is a.
Oh, is it a remake of that?
That's an adaptation of the.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, is it actually?
Yeah, the Thunderbirds TV show is a marionette TV show. Like, so they were all puppets and stuff like that.
But yeah, let's talk about the motherfucking Thunderbird.
Okay.
So first and foremost,
Thunderbirds are go.
Damn, I should have led with that. I was under the impression, first of all, that the Thunderbird was like a singular cryptid, but it's closer to something like Bigfoot. You know how Bigfoot...
It's like a species.
Yes, yeah, like Sasquatch, Yeti, skunk ape. Those are all Bigfoot-likes.
Oh, yeah.
Thunderbird is applied to a lot of bird-based cryptids, but there is the Thunderbird. You know what I mean? Like there's the Bigfoot, and there's also Bigfoot. So what's we're discussing the Thunderbird. I should preface in this one, but that is a name that does come up a lot with avian-like cryptids. But the original Thunderbird came from Native American folklore. This goes back to earliest America, where this enormous bird that usually resembles an eagle is described as being so big that it can, quote, carry a whale on its back.
That's large.
That's a big fucking bird.
Yeah. I mean, was it like commonly seen?
Oh, in Native American folklore, yes, this was a super common one because the legend of Thunderbird is seen across all of the western coast of the Americas, of North America. It spans from Alaska through Canada down into Central America. There are actually a bunch of Native American tribes that were in modern day Mexico that saw the Thunderbird. This shit goes from fucking Alaska to Mexico. It's all across. What's weird though is that's its main area, but it's also very frequently been seen around the Great Lakes area. You know, just
That's like Michigan?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, it's always
I know
coastal.
geography.
Hell yeah. It's always coastal. The Thunderbird really likes to stay near the coast. But many tribes that witness the Thunderbird patrolling... Many tribes that have witnessed a Thunderbird patrolling their coast led to the myth being slightly different depending on who you ask, which of these tribes. The Algonquin-speaking people who surround the Great Lakes have one of the most powerful descriptions of the Thunderbird's abilities. According to the legend, the Thunderbird can create thunder by flapping its wings, where it gets its name, and it can shoot fucking lightning from its eyes.
But it
That
doesn't
is
create
metal.
thunder doing that?
Because I don't think they understood what the correlation
No,
with lightning
I
and thunder
get it.
back then. Yeah.
There's some holes in this story. I'm starting to think this isn't a real thing.
Fuck you, Jeremy. This thing sounds fucking metal. I want one.
Metal, right?
Yeah.
So
Look what
Oh
you
shit.
did.
What I did. It's fine. It's still recording.
we're still recording. Thank God our box fell.
I don't know why it was precariously perched like a mile away from me. And then everyone's like, oh, classic Jeremy, yanking it off the wall.
We are still recording.
Yeah, we're still recording.
Okay, thank God. So the Thunderbird, it's fucking metal so far, right?
Mhm.
Thunder with its wings shoots lightning from its eyes. Here's the thing. Not only that, it's the motherfucking protector of the overworld. It routinely fights the great jaguar of the underworld in order to keep the undead at bay so that they don't flood the overworld. But when the undead aren't flooding, you know what its other fucking job is? It punishes morally unethical people.
Describe morally unethical.
I could not.
Okay.
I tried. But like if a Thunderbird saw a Nazi, probably would kill it.
It didn't do a very good job, if I'm being honest with you.
The Nazis didn't make it to Alaska or Mexico.
You know what? That's fair. I
I
didn't
mean,
think
they
about
made it
that.
to Argentina. It's close enough.
Yeah, that was later.
Oh,
That was a little bit after the war crimes. I guess they would still be morally unethical though. Because they did commit the war
Well,
crimes.
famously, the Thunderbird's just like, yo, you can commit war crimes and stuff like that.
Just
long
don't
as
fuck
you
a skeleton.
Yeah, he's like, hey, just apologize and we're good.
So a very specific tribe, the Thunderbird, right? The
Mhm.
and I apologize, Ojibwe, I believe is how you're supposed to say it. It's Ojibwe. Ojibwe was the best I could get. So the Ojibwe built more upon the Algonquin myth, claiming that the Thunderbird's purpose was to fight the spirits of the underworld and keep them from invading the surface. According to the Ojibwe, though, there were actually 4 Thunderbirds, all of which represented one of the 4 directions, and they would all convene in the area during the springtime. Then they would punish humans for their moral wrongdoing, and then they would fly off to fight the undead. Once they were done fighting the undead in the springtime, they would then leave in their respective directions for winter. So it is basically the fucking Justice League meeting up in Michigan and then being like, see you next year, boys.
They all go to different, like, they have different, like,
There's
winter homes.
There's a northeast, south, and west Thunderbird.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And they just fly in that direction during the
Who
winter.
the fuck is texting me? Jesus Christ. I get like 4 texts a month, and all of a sudden they're like, yo, this is where it's happening all right now.
Who is it?
It's the fucking group chat. They're like, yo, Vermintide's getting an update. Cool.
Hooray. You sure can kill more rats.
But now you're doing it as another class.
Oh, it's a whole new class. That actually is kind of cool.
Yeah, we should really get back into that game.
Yeah, game seems neat. So that's the thing, right? Sometimes there are a bunch of Thunderbirds. Sometimes there's one Thunderbird. Sometimes it's just a classification for flying cryptids. Point is, this motherfucker is the most metal cryptid we've talked about, I think, so far. Just the shooting lightning from the eyes.
What about the squamp?
Oh, the squonk, the one,
Yeah,
the
there you
one
go.
that's so ugly it cries itself to death.
Yeah, that's the one.
No, that one's not
appealed to
metal.
me.
That one's relatable.
Oh, that's right.
So let's talk about sightings of the Thunderbird, right? Because there are.
I'm so sorry, but someone in the group chat's like, "Why the fuck are you texting me?"
I feel that every time I'm in any group chat ever. I have every Discord channel fucking muted.
I have both your Discord and my Discord fully
Yep.
like push notifications.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
Mhm.
Oh no, that sounds like hell on earth.
And my watch will also get those push notifications. Sometimes I'm like,
Oh, that's miserable.
all right,
Dude,
and-
sometimes I'll be like falling asleep and then I'll get like the Discord app will just like bing, 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 bing. It's just a bunch of memes.
Oh yeah, the memes are fire, but like mute it all. I can catch up on it when I damn well please. Anyway, let's talk about sightings of the Thunderbird, right? Because there are a lot of actually pretty interesting ones. Chronologically, I want to start past like Native American folklore and stuff, but in more modern times. In 1890, 2 cowboys in Arizona claimed to have not only seen a Thunderbird flying around, but they fucking shot it out of the sky.
isn't it like really big?
Yes.
Okay.
They shot it out of the sky. It crash landed to the earth. And after inspecting the carcass, they described it as having, and this is important, quote, smooth skin, featherless wings like a bat, and a face that resembled an alligator, unquote.
So is this thing just a pterodactyl?
First of all, it's called a pterosaur now.
Is it?
That sounds incorrect.
But we will get to that.
They don't pronounce the P.
No, that's just a stupid joke that we do. But they're not called pterodactyls anymore. They're called pterosaurs.
Well, that's stupid.
I agree, because dactyl is fun
Hold
to say.
on. Like, I don't give, like,
Are you all right? What are you doing?
I'm looking at the pterosaur.
Oh. So here's the thing, right? Would you ever describe an eagle as having smooth skin, featherless wings like a bat, and a face that resembled an alligator?
No.
So already, this story is a little weird.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not on the train of describing it in that way.
This actually led to a strange rift in the lore of the Thunderbird, and its depiction as either a feathered creature resembling an eagle or now this weird dinosaur-ass thing. But anyway, the cowboys dragged the carcass all the way back to town and then strung it up on the side of a barn, claiming that the wingspan covered the entire broadside. A local newspaper known as the Epitaph arrived to photograph the monster and run a story on it, and this is where this story gets really weirdly complicated. The Epitaph is still around, right? And they do confirm that this was a story that they did run and did get photos for, but today they don't have either on file anymore. They don't have the story, they don't have any of the photos, nothing. But they do attest that it is reported this was a story that was run back in 1890. Many people from around the area, from Arizona to Texas, also claim to have gone to the Thunderbird after hearing about it and taking photos with it, posing in front of it, but none of those people have ever been able to provide copies of their photographs. None of their ancestors have. There's even a very respected British biologist named Ivan Sanderson who attests on record that he did own a photo of this creature.
But he sold it in his garage.
He didn't sell it. He lent it to one of his colleagues who ended up losing it.
I'd be pretty upset about that. By
I'd
the
be
way,
pretty upset too.
pterosaur is not a replacement to pterodactyl. A pterodactyl is a pterosaur.
A pterosaur?
Yeah.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood that. But what's even fucking crazier about this story is that it spread so quickly from the whole region that experts have mentioned that, like, yeah, people ever from Arizona to Texas would have heard this story. A lot of them would have been explained that they saw a photo in black and white. Well, I mean, they probably wouldn't say it's in black and white. All the photos were.
I saw a photo in not color, as we often say.
But they had all heard of, like, oh yeah, so-and-so said that they read in the newspaper that they saw a picture of these guys posing in front of a barn. And that story spread so much that a lot of people believe that this is one of the earliest cases of the Mandela effect.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was like, it's coming up.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good thing we did that episode.
Yeah,
because now it's relevant.
When I ran into this, I was like, no fucking way.
Hang on, but here's the thing. I kind of remember seeing a photo of like a bunch of people.
And here's the thing. I can also conjure that photo in my head.
No,
But that's the fucking Mandela effect. Like,
hang on.
Of them sitting with the bird?
There's a giant pterodactyl-looking motherfucker strung up on a broadside of a barn, and there's two dudes posing in front of it.
Yeah.
As soon as you said that, I can now also think of something similar. But
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain that I'm just making it up as you described it.
Exactly.
Um,
And so this is one of the earliest cases that I've ever seen of the
Hang
Mandela
on.
effect, which is really
Fuck
really
you, Tyler.
No, but that's a recreation.
Oh.
Yeah, I also found that picture.
see, that now that I'm looking at that, no, I've never seen that before in my life.
Well, that's a recreation. I also found that one looking through because I was also trying
When
to
you
find the picture.
described that, I kept thinking of like those shark photos where they're like, we just killed this shark and it's
Yes,
strung up behind
that's
them.
also what
Yeah.
I think of. Now, let's move on to 1922. Right, this is 42 years later. In Clinton County, Missouri, there was a man named Hiram Cranmer who was a retired postmaster and lived in this area.
Isn't
right?
it Hiram?
Oh, you're probably right. Yeah. Hiram Cranmer, and his whole life, he was a...
Isn't it Kramer?
Kramer. Yeah.
No, there actually is an N.
Okay.
that one, actually, there is an N.
I was just going to jokingly do that, but
No,
that is
but-
funny. You're like, oh, damn it.
Well, it's not like the fucking Skunk Gang episode when his name was like Dave Shealy, and I called him like Dan Seeley at first. Until we got later in my fucking outline, I was like, that's not his name.
Well, nobody comes to this podcast for any accurate depiction of
Oh,
anything.
absolutely not.
They're like, these guys are going to get wrong. Let's see how wrong they get it.
Anyway, Cranmer, there is an N, lived in Clinton County, Missouri, and his whole life he was a huge fucking nerd for cryptids, right? He loved cryptids, he loves aliens, he loved conspiracy theories. He was likely one of the first cryptozoologists before the name was like coined.
Mhm.
He spent most of his time in retirement scouring the northern forests of Clinton County, where in 1922, he claimed to have seen his first Thunderbird. Yes, his first Thunderbird, because he later claimed to have seen 4 more in the same area, believing that this must be where their roost was. Now,
What is a roost?
basically where the bird hangs out. It's like the bird's home. Not its nest, but like the area
I was
around
totally
its
gonna.
nest.
Yeah, I was totally gonna say nest.
Yeah, the nest would be in the roost, but the roost is like where they hang out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that all birds have a roost?
Pretty much.
What about a rooster?
They call them roosters because they would stand on top of the...
On top of the roost.
Yeah, basically. Because they would sit there and they would caw, and that was like their whole thing. It's a rooster. It stood on the roost. That's not like me making
No,
that up.
I'm sure that's true, but why would I call my house the roost? Is that a common
Well,
thing?
because birds had a roost, and they referred to it as a rooster
Oh,
because that's what
was
it
that
did.
just the name of like the den or whatever?
A roost is just where birds hang out.
But why do they call it a rooster then?
Because the rooster always hangs out in its roost. All birds don't do that, but the whole
Wait,
thing about the rooster,
but okay,
the only important thing a
that
rooster
may-
does
hang
is
on,
in
hang
its
on.
roost.
But if there's multiple birds that hang out in their roost, why aren't there more birds that are called roosters?
Because this one, its whole purpose that humans had for it was for it to stand in its
We
roost
didn't
and caw.
create the rooster.
I know, but that's the purpose. We named it. It didn't name itself. We named it after the thing it does, where it stands on its roost and it caws, and that's its only purpose for us.
What do you mean for us?
For humans, because humans use them to do that.
We don't use them to caw.
It was a way to tell time. Because they would caw every day at the same time from its roost.
What time?
It depended on the rooster, but it was always...
Well, that's not a very good fucking clock.
Oh my god. Because one rooster would pick a time, and their internal clock would basically make them caw on their roost
Mhm.
at that specific rooster the same time.
Yeah.
Every single day.
And
So
I'd set my clock to that.
we didn't have clocks in like 200 BC, I think. I don't know when the clock was invented, but I feel like it was way after that.
I feel like I could look up at the sky and be like, if I put a stick in the ground right now, I'd get a nice shadow.
So there were no such thing as roosters before 200 BC.
I'm just saying that's what we fucking named it.
In 201 BC, I almost did that like the other way. And I was just like, oh, man, that's confusing. We invented roosters. You heard it here.
I hate you.
I don't know why
so
you're
much.
just throwing weird rooster facts that you just
my
know
God.
about. You're just like, oh yeah, bang.
Here's the thing. The best part is going to be when I'm completely wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell you why it's a fucking roost. Because the R stands for rooster, dumbass.
Anyway, as a huge fan of the Thunderbird specifically, Cranmer heard tale of 2 men killing one, pinning it to a barn, and then posing for a photo in front of it. Sound familiar?
No. Oh, yes.
He then managed to acquire a photograph of the beast from a colleague of his, one Ivan Sanderson.
Do I know this person?
Yeah, he was the guy who said he had the picture, but then he lent it to a colleague.
Oh,
and his
yeah,
colleague
I know
lost
that
it.
guy.
Unfortunately, in 1963, Cranmer died when his house burnt to the ground, and he was still in possession of the photo,
He lost his roost.
both of which were lost in the flame. So it's weird how this
he
ties
described
in.
it as he's like, my friend misplaced it, not he burned to death holding
Here's
it.
the thing. I had that exact same problem when I was reading, because I had a bunch of sources up, like looking through them, right? And I kept seeing that Ivan Sanderson like lent it to a colleague and his colleague lost it. And I had the same thing of like, oh yeah, he fucking misplaced it. But then when I got to this whole thing about Cranmer, it was like, oh yeah, he got the picture from Sanderson and then fucking died with it in his
Yeah.
arms. And it's like, why is that not how it's described?
Yeah.
Like everywhere. That seems like a very important detail, that it fucking burned with him. But yeah, imagine my surprise in the like couple hours of research I was doing between finding Ivan Sanderson's photo and figuring out what happened to Ivan Sanderson's photo.
Yeah.
Now, the last sighting I want to talk about is in 1977. This was in a small town named Lawndale, Illinois. We only have one report of a Thunderbird ever attacking someone, and it was this one in 77.
Do they describe it as like, oh yeah, I got attacked by a Thunderbird, or are they just like, it was a big bird?
Let me read it to you.
Okay.
On July 25th, 1977, 10-year-old Martin Lowe was playing outside when 2 large unidentified birds swooped down to assault him. Seeing the kerfuffle, Martin's mother, Ruth, ran outside to chase the enormous birds off. Gotta say, baller move.
Aren't these birds like very, very
At
large?
least whale-sized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, it could carry a whale, so it's larger than a whale.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Or
oh,
it's stronger than we think it is.
okay.
Because an ant can
No.
carry something bigger than itself. What if it's a bird with ant strength
But here-
proportional to its
I
large
feel like
size?
that whale is doing a balancing act that it does not care to do. If it's like a crow-sized bird and it's like, well, hold on, I don't think he got me all the way.
The whale is roosting on the Thunderbird, dude.
Is that what a roost is?
Yeah, it's where whales hang out.
You know, interesting. The ocean, the world's biggest roost.
Anyway, mom runs outside to chase off the fucking whale-sized birds,
Yeah.
apparently. And in the process, one of the birds apparently grabbed Martin and fucking flew off with him 30 feet away and then dropped his ass. Many bystanders claim to have seen this all happen,
Mhm.
and they describes the birds as having a white ring around their neck, a 4.5-foot body with each wing about 4 feet long, a 6-inch hooked bill, 3 front claws, 1 back claw, and a large black body. This description, for the most part, matched what the Native American tribe said, but not what the weird fucking dinosaur in Arizona was.
Mhm.
And I do gotta say, that bird doesn't sound, it sounds like a big bird, but
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like that big of a bird.
When someone's like, yo, this could pick up a whale, I'm like, if it picks me up, probably doesn't need to use more than like 1 talon.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I'm imagining like a building sized bird.
Yeah, basically same. But so this one is attributed as like a Thunderbird attack,
Yeah.
because I assume that's how it was like reported on, where they're like, what's the name for a big bird? It's got the Thunderbird. You know how they talked in the 70s.
Yeah. That classic 1930s nostalgia that we all had in the 70s. Hey, remember when we all talked like this? No, Johnson, I don't, because it's the 70s.
Now, please smoke this marijuana cigarette.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We have to go to explanation of what this fucking bird is, right?
Isn't it just a bird?
Here's the thing. It's not an owl.
It's
Yeah, okay.
not an owl?
It's not an owl.
I didn't think it was an owl. I thought there was like a hawk. Didn't we talk about
Well,
it being an eagle?
It's an eagle. But I just want to preface, the bird cryptid, not an owl.
Right.
Very important. So let's try to debunk this, right? Trying to debunk
try. Like we might fail if we.
Yeah, if I cannot debunk it right now, the Thunderbird is real.
Okay, the stakes have been met.
But genuinely, debunking the existence of the Thunderbird hasn't been difficult. Quite simply because a creature that size would not be able to eat enough to survive, much less be able to fucking fly.
Yeah.
That cannot happen. Because a creature big enough to carry a whale cannot fly. That is not how physics work on Earth.
Because birds, even by themselves, they're. I don't know if you ever held, like, even a big bird. Like, have you ever been to, like, someone's given you like a falcon or something to hold, as they do.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been in that situation where you've held like a They're fucking light. Yeah. Like, that's the thing that really threw me off. I remember one time I was at a bird sanctuary, and this dude handed me an owl. It was badass. And
you met Mothman Hopkinsville Goblin Flatwoods Monster?
Yeah, I did.
Jersey Devil Esquire?
And he puts the owl in my hand, and he's like, yeah, this owl is about 1.5 pounds. And it was like almost a 2-foot tall owl. Like, that's just how light. I was like, oh, wow. I was expecting like a 50-pound dude. I was bracing myself to hold this. I can't imagine someone that big. It's like, oh yeah, he's got like hollow bones and stuff, and he holds himself together. You know.
Gotta say, by the way, owls, fucking cool bird.
Oh,
holy shit, those are cool birds.
It was at one point he was like, all right, so he's gonna do a trick, and then he handed me, without asking, literally didn't even preface what he was about to do. He was like, here's a dead bird leg, and I was like, yep, that's a foot.
In my hand.
And he's like, all right, so you just throw it in the air and you'll catch it. I was like, and then he caught it. I was like, wow.
If you fucked that foot, would you become a skinwalker who turns into an owl?
I mean, it is part of a dead body. I feel like you
I
should.
I don't remember.
Is it
I don't remember.
zoophilia?
I feel like the Arcane Council would respect zoophilia.
They're getting more progressive these days for my taste, but back in my day, you became a skinwalker like one of 3 ways.
Now they're just letting anybody be a skinwalker.
Yeah, I guess we can include those guys as yeah. No, you're right. We'll give them rights.
Next, they're gonna say like, "Oh, commit tax fraud. You get to turn into a fucking bat." Like, come on. But yeah, debunking the existence of the Thunderbird just conceptually isn't hard. It cannot fly. It would not be able to eat enough to support like that life.
Yeah.
It has a very rich lifestyle. But trying to figure out what the fuck people are seeing is a little bit more complicated. So let's start where we always start.
Is it the red-tailed hawk?
It's just a fucking bird.
It's just any bird?
It's just like a really big bird. The Native American tribes were likely just seeing a really big fucking like eagle, vulture, condor, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All of these birds could fit various descriptions of Thunderbird, and all of them do live in the areas where the Thunderbird was seen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just seeing a big bird and being like, wow, that bird is big, and then going to somebody else and say like, hey, this bird was big, and they go, how big? And you say, fucking big, and they go, big enough to carry a whale, and you say, I don't see why not. That's probably.
Am I Rob Schneider in every Adam Sandler movie?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that sounds correct.
But other explanations claim that it could be a leftover species from before humans, because this always fucking happens with cryptids. The feather description could...
wouldn't I like, okay, so here's the thing. It creates thunder and lightning, but that...
Very, very frightening.
It sure is, isn't it? What, does that imply that all thunder and lightning is from this bird?
No, they can just make it. It's
like an open resource.
Well, no, it's like a waterbender kind of thing. Like
I was about to say, well, it's like a firebender.
Oh yeah, because a firebender can create their own.
Because a firebender,
unless you're an M. Night Shyamalan firebender.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah,
I genuinely don't think that was the worst idea that he had in that movie. Of like, no, they got to carry torches with them.
Well, it's bad in the context that like, oh, that's why we could like no one could stand up to them because like they just needed their bodies.
Yeah.
Where like just snuff out all the flames.
Yes, like literally just throw water at his torch.
Yeah.
To be fair, you could argue that with everyone. They're like, why don't they just superheat the bucket of water they're carrying with them?
Well, because waterbenders can change the temperature of water. It doesn't matter what temperature it is.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's a higher level technique because
it's like
really
intermediate.
Because
Katara could do it at
Katara
the first episode.
Katara doesn't learn to
freeze until she works with Paku.
Well, no,
I thought she did.
I mean, like pulling like water out of the air and stuff like that. Like if it's steam,
way later. Yeah. Well, I don't think she ever pulled it out of the air, did she? She pulled it out of like plants.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in Avatar where like, their powers are much more powerful than you think they are. Like
yeah.
they should be able to. If they can do that, they can do this.
Can you imagine the war crimes the air nomads could have committed?
They're like, oh, we always need air, and it's like, you have air
Everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no position where you not have air. Once the world develops like space travel, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
But like,
Also, they can just hold air. They're just like, yeah, we just pressurized our ship by just holding air in that.
well, why can't an airbender just be like, you don't have air in your lungs?
Well,
They
they
do
can.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do in Korra, don't
Yeah.
they? Yeah. I always thought it was weird. The airbenders, can they not change the temperature of the air? Because firing just burning hot air at someone is basically firebending.
See, you're running into the issue of okay, so someone can teleport, right? And so the idea is you're like, well, so they can take themselves from one spot and they can put themselves in another spot. Theoretically, their power is that they can move through space. But the problem is that time is also a dimension of space. So theoretically, they might also be able to time travel. But also, they have to be able to, if someone can time travel, they also have to teleport because the Earth moves.
Yeah.
It's this thing of power sets where you're like, if you have that power, you have like 50 other powers in order to...
That was actually the one thing about Doctor Who that I was like, that's actually interesting that they thought of that. The TARDIS, his like phone booth, it actually is an acronym for time and relative dimensions in space.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing is like, yeah, this is a time machine and a spaceship. Because if we go to 500 years ago and stay in this spot, we're just going to be in space.
Yeah.
Like we will not be on Earth. It has to move with planetary bodies.
It also
That
does,
is
it
the
can
whole
fly
point.
around. Like it's
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of like when you travel through time, it's also like essentially locking on to a planetary body
Right.
so that you can stay there. None of this is important.
Oh no, by no means, but we're keeping it because it seems like they're going, wow, they did a 4-hour episode. First 2 hours. So tell me more about Universal Studios.
But yeah, Native Americans probably seen a big fucking bird. But what we always run into with cryptids, right, is like, oh, Nessie is just a leftover dinosaur, and then
Yeah.
the Mokele and Mbembe is a leftover dinosaur, and like, I don't fucking know, maybe Bigfoot's just a leftover dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's always this explanation of like, I know it's never happened before, but what if it's happened this time?
When they make that explanation, are they implying that the species stayed, or that it is just an old animal that has not died from that era?
It varies between cryptid to cryptid.
Okay.
Like Nessie, I believe they think is just a really fucking old one.
Weird.
Whereas Bigfoot and like Sasquatch types, because there's so many,
Yeah,
that's the missing link, like left over.
Wouldn't they just evolve like every other?
I think the idea is that like most of them did, but some didn't, and then they kind of just the species split.
Yeah.
I think that's the idea, but I don't think they think it through that
Oh,
far.
I'm sure that's true. Although I think like alligators and stuff have not really had that much change
Apex
since
fucking
like
predator now.
since the
100 million years, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the big feather description that Native Americans had could point
The
to
BF.
a teratorn, which is the modern. It's the ancestor to the modern vulture.
Mm-hmm.
While the reptilian description could point to a pterosaur of some kind.
But hold on, because in modern interpretation of dinosaurs, we're pretty sure they were feathered.
Yes, pterosaurs, we are pretty sure were only kind of feathered, though, from my understanding. The teratorn was absolutely feathered because the teratorn died out only 10,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is, in the scale of things, that is not that long ago.
So we, one of the people I work with, they did some stuff with Jack Horner. He's a paleontologist. He worked a lot on like the Jurassic Park movies and stuff. And he is like currently at this time, he is like, no. Every dinosaur had feathers. Like he is like T-Rexes probably look more like parrots. Like they're brightly colored and.
I want to see a new Jurassic Park with like
the
modern dinosaur descriptions.
That'd be amazing.
It's one of those things of it's such a cool idea because he talks about how like dinosaurs probably still kept the ideas that birds have of like dance rituals for mating and stuff like that. And
oh my god, can you imagine just a bunch of fucking T-Rexes dancing like the Minecraft parrot?
Yeah.
I love that so much.
But no, my point
But
was
that probably it's just an older pterotorn.
Yeah.
The pterosaur is just pterotorn. But pterosaurs, by the way, the fucking died out 65 million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's no goddamn way that the Thunderbird is a 65 million year old pterosaur. Like,
when did we? when was the idea of that kind of pushed around?
What do you mean?
What time frame were we saying? Oh no, this might be an old dinosaur. Are we still saying that?
About the Thunderbird?
Yeah.
Yes. That is one of the descriptions. That's
when did that come up though?
The 1890s. It was literally the cowboys who
Yeah.
shot it down in Arizona.
Well, the reason I bring that up
Is because they thought they were reptiles back then still.
Well, that, and also they just thought the Earth hadn't been around as long as it had.
That's
like,
true too, yeah.
Like they were like, bro, it's been like 4,000 years. It could hang around.
I mean, there's still people that think that the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Yeah.
Well, because that's true.
You know what?
Oh, well,
Good
yeah,
point.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is one of the few episodes that ends with a genuine, actual, like, real answer.
It's just real?
No. But like a real answer to where this came from.
That would be an amazing twist.
Yeah.
The likely scenario was posed by scientific historian Adrian Mayor and British historian. You ready for the British historian's name? Tom Holland.
What?
I gotta say, it's
Talented
very
guy.
disappointing. Yeah, I'm really tired of seeing all these people, much like T-Shal, of just doing a little too good.
Yeah, right?
Like, yeah, you're a pretty good actor, but are you a pretty good, like, historian?
So Adrian Mayor and Tom Holland claimed a sort of combination of literally all of the previous debunking theories.
Mm-hmm.
They attest that the Native Americans of the region may have just genuinely stumbled upon fossils of teratorns or pterosaurs. They found the fossils. They saw them. They put them together essentially and said, look at this. This is an enormous bird. Clearly, we've seen pretty big birds like the eagle, the vulture, and the condor. So wouldn't it make sense if those birds and this bird were the same kind of bird? This one's just really fucking big.
Interesting.
So it's just a case of really old accidental archaeology turning into just a story.
Where'd the whole thing about thunder coming out of their eyes and shit come from?
Oh, crazy bullshit.
Well,
because it's a mythology. All mythology is crazy
but
bullshit.
also, they probably weren't in connection to that. It's just like you say, oh, I found a big bird, and people are like, oh, we know of a big bird. Like, that's like the Native American big bird.
Mm-hmm.
Or the big bird from Sesame Street, depending on...
Big Bird from Sesame Street is actually a Thunderbird.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it, but I once worked backstage on Sesame Street once, and I swear to God, that motherfucker was shooting lightning everywhere.
Did you actually work backstage on Sesame Street?
God, no, I would love that.
That'd be so badass.
That sounds so fun.
That or Mr. Rogers. I mean, he's not around
I was
anymore.
about to say
but,
that
like,
might
odds
be a
of us
little
doing
harder.
Sesame Street are a bit more likely.
yeah. Hey, you never know.
I saw something the other day where it was I think it was Wired, where they do the lie detector test interviews, but they were interviewing the cast of Sesame Street.
That's so good.
And so Cookie Monster is like is being asked all these questions. And at some point he just lets slip that he lives in a rent-controlled apartment and he refuses to leave.
Yes, I saw this.
And,
God, I need to look
and
that
I'm
up.
just like, I love the fact that that's just a canon aspect. Big Bird's like, I live in a nest. Where you live? And he goes, I live in a rent-controlled apartment. Landlord's not a fan, but what's he gonna do?
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. But yeah, that's the motherfucking Thunderbird. Probably the most metal cryptid we've talked about. And it also just has a genuine answer to like where it came from, which I like.
And the answer, oddly enough, was, yeah, it was a bird.
It's just a bird. This started with an owl and ended with just a different bird.
Not an owl, though.
This is not an owl, but it started from me wanting to find an owl cryptid. But they're all fucking lame
Were you
as
even
shit.
listening?
Of course I was. I wasn't making a D&D character based on a Thunderbird.
Oh, hell yeah.
How
like
would that
like
even
an
work?
Aarakocra.
Oh,
All right, so
and they're like a sorcerer and you just take like lightning.
So
and
I made a
thunderclap.
Kenku, and I made
Okay.
him a wizard
Yeah, okay.
who knew only lightning-based spells.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And then if I were the DM of that game, I would constantly be like, you come into town and someone says, is that a fucking vulture? Or is that a pteratorn? Is that a pterosaur? I swear to God, I've seen a pterosaur. That's a fucking pterosaur.
Why didn't you also put thunder spells? You could put thunder
Thunderclap.
Wave. Yeah,
I did.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right.
So now someone needs to make a tabaxi, who is like a panther because he fights the underwater panther, and
You
that's the
could
big
be like
bad.
a warlock.
You could, now I'm thinking about it, you could very easily do like a cryptid based D&D thing.
half the fucking
I would
people in
love
D&D
that.
are like,
or cryptids, yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you base the whole party and like all the main NPCs and stuff off of cryptids,
Mhm.
Hell yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I was playing a Pathfinder game once, and we were all making our characters totally separate, and we basically all showed up with, like, we hadn't finished the characters, but we're like, yeah, we're thinking about this, because we're reading through the books, and there's a lot of books, and, like, there's a huge amount of classes you can choose from. And it was, like, the furry campaign, and the DM literally was like, okay, someone has to be a person, because I'm not running a campaign where everyone is just some Anthony wanted to be a frog called like the Mogo Gull, where all of their names were the Mogo Gull, and he was like, yeah, it's really cool. And I was like, I'm gonna be this cat guy. It's basically a kitten, but he has a sword, and he's like, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, but if you just got rid of like Peter Quill.
Yeah.